They say Rome wasn't built in a day. But here's what they don't tell you. It took less than 5 centuries to tear it all down. At its peak, 1 in every 5 people on Earth was Roman. An empire that invented the modern army, created the Senate, ran a functioning democracy for 500 years, gone, erased by betrayal, madness, and blood. The question isn't how Rome rose. It's how something so powerful, so dominant could collapse so completely. And the answer starts with a single act of violence that changed everything. The origin of Rome is wrapped in myth. Twin brothers, Romulus and Remus, abandoned as infants, raised by a wolf, building a settlement by the Tiber River. One brother kills the other in a power struggle. Rome is born in blood. But modern research tells a different story. Around 625 BC, small villages along the Tiber merged, probably for protection, and formed a trading center. Nothing legendary, just survival. For the next century, Rome had kings, 7 of them. But here's the twist. Kingship wasn't hereditary. A ruling body called the Senate elected each one. That system worked fine until the last king, Lucius Tarquinius, Superbus, Tarquin the Proud, a tyrant. And then his son did something unforgivable. He assaulted a noblewoman named Lucretia. The city erupted. Protests. Outrage. In 509 BC, the people and nobles overthrew Tarquin together. Rome's republic was born. The Senate split into 2 factions, the patricians, wealthy elites, and the plebeians, middle-class representatives. They elected 2 leaders called consuls. Power struggles were constant, but Rome expanded anyway. By 338 BC, they controlled the entire Italian peninsula. Neighboring kingdoms attacked. Rome rebuilt. A military leader named Camillus took all of Italy. Then came the Punic Wars. 64 to 146 BC. Rome versus Carthage, a powerful city-state on the North African coast. 3 brutal wars. In the first 2, Rome seized the western Mediterranean, Spain, Sicily. They even defeated Hannibal, Carthage's legendary general and tactical genius. In the third war, Rome didn't just win, they annihilated. They burned Carthage to ash. 200,000 dead, 500 survivors enslaved. The city erased from the map. Rome turned east next, conquered Macedonia, still mighty 2 centuries after Alexander the Great. Victory after victory brought gold, territory, and something unexpected: culture. Greek architecture, philosophy, religion. Rome absorbed it all. By 100 BC, Rome was a superpower. But power breeds instability, a beat, political assassinations, civil wars. Leaders who spoke for the poor were murdered. Others stayed silent out of fear. The Republic was fracturing, and that's when Julius Caesar entered the scene. BC. Rome appointed Caesar governor of a province and tasked him with conquering Gaul, modern-day France, Belgium, parts of Germany, and Switzerland. The Gallic people chose a leader named Vercingetorix and prepared for war. The fighting lasted 6 years. In 52 BC, Caesar surrounded the city of Alesia for months. Starvation, slaughter. The biographer Plutarch writes that Caesar's army killed 1 million Gauls and enslaved another million. Caesar returned home a hero, but the Senate grew nervous. They ordered him to disband his army and return. Caesar refused. Instead, he formed an alliance with 2 other generals, Pompey Magnus, his son-in-law, and Crassus. They called it the Triumvirate. Together, they controlled Rome's politics completely. Then it fell apart. Quietly. Crassus wanted glory to match Caesar's. In 53 BC, he launched a campaign against the Parthian Empire. He lost. Died in battle. Some sources say he was captured, and molten gold poured down his throat. Now only Caesar and Pompey remained. Pompey allied with the Senate against Caesar. In 49 BC, Caesar marched his army toward Rome and crossed the Rubicon River, a direct act of war. Caesar's civil war began. 1 year of fighting. In 48 BC, Caesar crushed Pompey's forces at the Battle of Pharsalus. Pompey fled to Egypt, where King Ptolemy had him murdered, thinking it would earn Caesar's favor. Caesar took control of Rome, declared himself dictator for life. For 5 years, he ruled, built roads, reformed laws, helped the poor. Public works. Projects made him beloved, almost worshipped. But some senators wanted the republic restored. Among them, Gaius Cassius Longinus and Marcus Junius Brutus, one of Caesar's closest friends. March 15, 44 BC. A Senate meeting. Senators surrounded Caesar under the pretense of showing him a petition. Then, knives. 23 stab wounds. In the chaos, Caesar saw Brutus. His eyes went wide. Et tu, Brute? Even you, Brutus? His last words. The assassins thought they'd seize power. They were wrong. The people rose against the Senate. Rome plunged back into civil war. Enter Octavian, Caesar's grandnephew and adopted heir. He formed the second triumvirate with Mark, Antony, and Lepidus. In 42 BC they defeated the Senate at the Battle of Philippi. Octavian took the west, Antony took the east. Lepidus got North Africa, until Octavian sidelined him and took that too. For a while, Octavian and Antony ruled together. But Antony fell in love with Cleopatra, Queen of Egypt, Caesar's former lover. Octavian saw betrayal. He launched propaganda. Antony wants to make Cleopatra Queen of Rome. He's forgotten Roman values. He's a traitor. War erupted. In 31 BC at the Battle of Actium, Octavian's naval forces crushed Antony and Cleopatra's fleet. They fled to Egypt. Octavian followed, besieged them for a year. In 30 BC, both committed suicide. Octavian became Rome's first emperor, took the name Augustus. The Roman Empire began. Augustus ruled for 41 years, a period called Pax Romana, Roman peace. After decades of war, people craved stability. Augustus gave them laws, architecture, order. When he died in 14 AD at age 75, he was worshipped as a god. The month of August is named for him. His adopted son Tiberius ruled for 22 years, the era when Jesus Christ was crucified. After Tiberius came Caligula, a mad, cruel emperor. Executed innocents on conspiracy charges, ruled 3 years, before his own guards murdered him in 41 AD. His uncle Claudius became emperor. 13 years of indulgence. Then his wife Agrippina poisoned him and installed her illegitimate son, Nero. Nero's reign was the darkest stain on Rome. At 16, he became emperor. First, he killed his own mother. She controlled him too much. Then he emptied the treasury, on lavish spending, created a massive financial crisis, murdered anyone who questioned him. Historian Suetonius writes that Nero committed incest, animal cruelty, and senseless killings. Then, allegedly, he burned Rome. Blamed it on Christians, who were seen as a threat. That's where the phrase comes from. Nero fiddled while Rome burned. Though there's no solid evidence, the fiddle wasn't even invented for another 1,000 years. Maybe his enemies fabricated the story. But Rome did burn, that's certain. And afterward, Rome's patience snapped. The governor of Spain, Galba, challenged Nero for the throne. Nero saw the support Galba had, realized it was over, fled. The Senate declared him enemy of the state. Rather than face public execution, Nero killed himself at age 30. He had no heirs. The Julio-Claudian dynasty, started by Augustus, ended with him. The next year became known as the Year of the Four Emperors. 69 AD. First, Galba, backed by the Senate, took power. But he withheld payment from the Roman army. Revolts erupted. Then Galba's own Praetorian Guard murdered him. Second time an emperor's bodyguards killed their own ruler. The Senate chose a senator named Otho. He seemed peaceful, capable. But General Vitellius had his own army and his own ambitions. Otho wanted a peace settlement. Vitellius wanted the throne. Their armies clashed at the Battle of Bedriacum. 4,000 Roman soldiers dead in a single day. When Otho heard the news, he stopped fighting. Lower voice. Historians say he could have won if he'd continued, but he refused to risk more lives. The guilt was too much. He committed suicide after just 3 months. It's tragic. Most Roman emperors were narcissists, greedy, cruel. But Otho is remembered as honest, compassionate. Vitellius marched into Rome. His soldiers murdered, looted, assaulted. The Senate surrendered. Vitellius declared himself supreme leader, ruled like a sociopath. Oppression escalated. Rome entered a dark age. Then part of the Roman army revolted, declared their commander, Titus Flavius Vespasian, as emperor. A long war followed. Vespasian's forces stormed Rome. Vitellius tried to flee, was caught, dragged into the streets. People spat on him. He was tortured, killed, his body thrown in the river. December 22nd, 69 AD. The Senate declared Vespasian emperor. The chaos ended. The Flavian dynasty began. Vespasian restored law and order, started construction on the Colosseum, still one of the world's greatest tourist attractions. He ruled 10 years. His son Titus succeeded him, the first biological son to inherit the throne. After Titus came his brother Domitian, who was assassinated. Then came the era of the good emperors, 96 to 192 AD. Trajan was considered the best. Rome's population hit 1 million under him. The empire reached its largest size. Roads connected new regions. Hadrian strengthened defenses, built forts in Britain, constructed the Pantheon, where paintings of his lover Antinous still hang. The philosopher-emperor Marcus Aurelius spent his time in military campaigns, writing his Stoic manifesto, Meditations between battles. After Marcus came his son Commodus. The end of Pax Romana. Commodus preferred gladiator fights over governance. Eventually, his enemies hired a slave fighter, named Narcissus, to strangle him. Chaos returned. For the next 100 years, over 25 emperors came and went. Most were assassinated. Once, the Praetorian Guard murdered an emperor and auctioned off the position. Some emperors ruled for days, weeks. The shortest reign, Gordian II, 22 days. In 285 AD, Emperor Diocletian split the empire into western and eastern halves to manage it better. Created a system, 2 senior emperors called Augustus, 2 junior deputies called Caesar, the Tetrarchy. In 305 AD, Diocletian did something rare. He voluntarily gave up the throne. First Roman emperor to retire, but then power struggles erupted. Constantine, son of the Western Caesar, was appointed Western emperor. But Maxentius, son of the retired Emperor Maximian, demanded the title. War broke out. Legend says Constantine saw a cross in the sky before battle, took it as a sign from God, painted crosses on his army's banners, won the war, killed Maxentius, converted to Christianity, made it Rome's official religion. Constantine ruled until 337 AD. After his death, his 3 sons fought for power. None lasted. In 363 AD, the unstable Valentinian dynasty took over. Assassinations, power struggles. In 392 AD, Emperor Theodosius I reunited the Eastern and Western empires briefly. But after his death, his sons Arcadius and Honorius split Rome for the last time. Arcadius took the East, which became the Byzantine Empire. Honorius took the West. The Byzantine Empire grew wealthy. Strong fortifications. The Western Empire collapsed into economic crisis. Invaders saw the difference. Urgent. A Germanic tribe, the Goths, attacked repeatedly. Another tribe, the Vandals, burned everything in 455 AD. By 476 AD, the Western Roman Empire was finished. The last emperor's name was Romulus, same as Rome's legendary first king. After losing to a Germanic general named Odoacer, Romulus was exiled, spent the rest of his life in exile. And just like that, Rome fell. 2,000 years. 7 kings. 5 centuries of republic. 5 centuries of empire. Conquered 3 continents. Created the Senate, modern law, roads that still define Europe's infrastructure today. 1 in 5 people on Earth was Roman at its peak. But power corrodes. Ambition devours. Rome didn't fall to an outside enemy in the end. It tore itself apart. Civil wars. Assassinations. Madness. The same forces that made Rome unstoppable became the poison that killed it. The last emperor spent his final days in exile. No glory, no legacy. Just silence. Rome wasn't destroyed in a day. But maybe, like everything built on blood and ambition, it was always destined to crumble.